All right. Let's do this. Let's do this. Come on. Holy crap. What to spell? Hello? Yes. I'm doing good. How you doing? Yeah, that's not a problem. How about two? Thank you very much. Yep, bye. And just like that, therapy gets changed. Not a problem. All right, now I got to go back and check something. Okay. There's Mr. Frank. There he is. Okay. Okay. Getting the words in. Getting the words down. Suddenly now it says I'm live. I thought I'd been live. Tom Duffy, subscribed for 30 months. 30 months. That's crazy. Crazy talk. The talk is simply crazy. There's Tom Duffy. There's little Tommy. So last night, the wife and I, we made cheeseburgers for dinner. But that's not the important part. That's not the story I want to tell. Forgot I even said anything about making cheeseburgers. We watched the whatever they're called, Rock Legends. So the last one we watched, the first one, was the Bret Michaels one, which didn't really tell you a lot of stuff that we didn't already know. However, last night we watched the Dee Snider one, Snyder one, and the Alice Cooper one. And I got a lot of problems with these. I don't know if you've seen them. I know Frank probably has not seen them. Semi-annoyed you don't have access to this series. So, the Dee Snider one, here's what I had a problem with. I figured it was you, because I have access to it. I've watched them. The Dee Snider one, they talk about, the early club days and blah, blah, which is all interesting. They talk about their first album, Under the Blade, which is probably still one of my favorite albums of all time. I mean, as like a 13, 14-year-old kid, I loved it. Saw them live in 1984 on their You Can't Stop Rock and Roll album tour, which is not mentioned at all in the Legends piece. Basically, they go right from Under the Blade album, and then they get signed to Atlantic, and then they put out Stay Hungry, which did not happen. You Can't Stop Rock and Roll came out before that. So they ignore that album. Then they talk about Stay Hungry, and then they talk about Come Out and Play, and then basically Dee Snider quits the band after that, and then we go all the way to 9/11, and they reform to do one or two shows for that, and then they get back together on and off for years. There's no mention of any other album that the next. I think there's two more albums that they put out after that. Yeah, no loves for suckers, and they don't talk about that album at all, which would have been great to talk about considering it was all. Even though on the album, on the liner notes, I remember it has the band listed, but in reality, George Lynch played on that. Reb Beach played on that. A bunch of other musicians. It was supposed to be a Dee Snider solo album, and the record company said absolutely not. It's got to be a Twisted Sister album. And so Dee Snider wrote all of those songs, except for, interesting enough, is the song "Love Is for Suckers" is a cover of the. I think the band's called Poison Dolly. It's a female singer singing the song. You can find it on Spotify. I didn't know that until I looked into it because I was very upset after watching it that why they talked about that. They quit the band for his very successful career, which they did not mention at all. They mentioned like in passing Widowmaker, and he was in SMF, and he was in this band and that band, that kind of thing. But nothing about anything. He also comes off as very arrogant, like they all do, that he was basically the only reason Twisted Sister made it, despite all the other guys in the band. He was really Twisted Sister, even though he joined the band later than everybody else in the band. And he doesn't own anything in the band. JJ French owns everything. And so I was annoyed, and so then I'm like, well, yeah, they had and then of course they have 47 albums after that, all anthologies, all just best ofs and live ones and all this other stuff. But they don't mention any of that. They make it seem like he walked away in whatever year that was, in the 90s, and then they just started playing some shows together until the one dude died. And I was like, that is not. Is this like millennials writing rock ballads for any? Yeah, I believe so. It seems like that. Now we get to the Alice Cooper one. Okay? Which spends an inordinate amount of time interviewing the guys who only played on the first two albums. Right? I think it was two albums. I might be wrong, because again, I didn't look this up because I'm not an Alice Cooper fan, but it's basically led you to believe, this one, that the first two albums was this group of guys, and he was still Frank, and Alice Cooper was just the name of the band. And then on the next album, he became Alice Cooper, and he basically just did it on his own. The record company was basically like, no, you're going to do this, and we're just going to hire a bunch of new musicians for you. So he did it. It was no big deal. And then they talk about $1 Billion Babies and a couple more albums, but basically all of the 70s stuff. They're talking about all the albums he did in the 70s. They talk about that. They don't talk about anything he did, Vincent, not Frank Edler. They never talk about anything he did in the 80s. They never talk about any of the musicians. Like, you get some shots of Kane Roberts on stage in the background, because they have 400 people on stage. They talk mostly about all the crazy things he does on stage, and they brought up the chicken ripped apart in Toronto about 5 times. And so they don't talk about anything past 1979 in this thing. I'm thinking, The dude had, I know he had a bunch of albums since then. I know he's done other stuff since then. No mention of Kip Winger. We should have had half an hour on Kip Winger on this. And it was almost like watching this one and the Dee Snider one and the Poison one was like, we're just going to talk about their first 5 or 6 years and ignore everything they've done, and we're just going to kind of pass through it and then say, hey, and now they're doing this. And so basically it was, I wish they just talked about Nita Strauss. Yeah, exactly. I wish they just showed her. Not mentioned, not seen at all. And so basically it was like, oh, and basically at the end it was like, oh, and Alice is still touring after 50 years, blah, blah, blah. And he got back together with the original members of the band for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame thing, and they were hanging out in a studio. They're recording again. And I'm like, that was it. Now I'm far less annoyed I can't watch. Yeah. So the last two is Sammy Hagar, which I'm going to guess they're going to talk about Sammy Hagar being in Montrose and then Van Halen, and then act like he didn't have his solo career after that at all. And then the other one is Sebastian Bach. And I would imagine they're just going to talk about Skid Row and basically just mention in passing that he's done stuff after Skid Row. Any mention of Hollywood Vampires. So the only mention of Hollywood Vampires is again, because of the 70s, they're hanging out at the, where's that, the Whiskey? Wherever the club is. But I think it was I want to say it was the Whiskey. Anyway, him and John Lennon and a couple of other old people who used to be somebody are hanging out at this club every night drinking. Every night. And the bartender says, man, you guys are a bunch of Hollywood vampires. And it stuck. And so the upstairs became their clubhouse, and nobody was allowed in there without, it might have been the Rainbow. No one was allowed up there without their permission. And then they talk about Bruce Springsteen came and hung out one time with them. And they poured beer and whiskey in his boots, and he was an honorary member from that point on. And it was like a 2-second thing. That was, the way it was, the Hollywood Vampire was this thing we did in 1975. And it doesn't exist anymore. So yeah, it was very, very, very disappointing watching these. And I can't imagine that people are people who know the band stuff. Like my wife is just like, whatever. But I was like, oh, at least Alice Cooper seems a lot nicer than Dee Snider. Dee Snider seems like an asshole. And I'm like, yeah. You talk about Mickey Dolenz. Yes, Mickey Dolenz was also there. Old people. Yes, Mickey Dolenz. Thank you, Nick. So I was very disappointed. I've been very disappointed in all 3 of the 5 so far, and I'm sure I will be disappointed in the Sammy Hagar. Oh, there's Nick. Nick's here, by the way. In the Sammy Hagar and also the Sebastian Bach one. Because it's literally telling us nothing. Seems like he's an asshole. Yeah. So. Just very, Dee Snider's very arrogant, and I'm like, oh, of course they talk about the PMRC thing. They had to go through all that and how he stood up for music, him and Frank Zappa and John Denver, and nobody else would do it, and he was he was there for heavy metal and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you guys, they still got the stickers. I mean, PMRC still technically won, although those stickers just sold a shitload of albums for everybody. But you didn't really win. Yeah, I mean, you didn't shut them down, really, if you think about it. But the way he was, they had to show the whole clip of him walking in and all that. So it was interesting. The only interest was hearing about obviously growing up, his brothers, his father was very hard on him, blah, blah, blah. Dee Snider is the musician version of someone else. Yeah, pretty much. He thinks he can burn the he can burn the heavy metal community down to the ground if he wanted to. Yeah, an arrogant frontman from an '80s rock band. Get out of town. Yeah, but here's the thing. Back then, be arrogant. You're banging a ton of chicks. You're making a ton of money. You're traveling the world, playing in front of 80,000 people. What are you doing now, man? I mean, you're playing little shitty clubs in front of 100 people. You shouldn't be arrogant anymore. You should be thankful for what you had, not thinking you still have all this. Like he was mad at JJ French. He's mad at everybody. Everybody was in the band. He's like, somebody said JJ French was the leader of the band. I'm the leader. I'm gonna be the leader of the band. I'm thinking, why? JJ French added you to the band. He wrote all the songs and the music, and you were nobody. So what are you even talking about? Anyway, there you go. So Frank, you haven't missed anything. When they do come on at some point, watch them, but don't bend over backwards to try to watch them because, quite frankly, they're not worth it. They were all rushed at the end of. Yeah, so then now so we're still touring. We're still doing like the Bret Michaels one is like, yeah, so Poison, we're still playing we're still playing stadiums, and like you're playing stadiums with Motley Crue and Def Leppard, and you're not playing. Poison isn't playing a stadium on its own. JJ French is the leader, not to Dee Snider. JJ French owns the name. Like I read his book, Twisted Business. It was a pretty good book, but basically he went out of his way for about half of that book to say he was Twisted Sister and Dee Snider was not, and he came up with all the drag queen stuff and all that. That was already in place when Dee Snider joined the band. So it also talked about when they did the Leader of the Pack song and how Dee wanted that was the song that they had played in the clubs back in the 70s. But he wanted to record it, and that was their first video, and that was going to be their first single off that album, and everybody in the band, and everybody at the record company said no, but he was the leader, he was the king of and he did it, and it totally ruined their career. That was it. I did listen to some Twisted Sister this morning, though, because I still love Under the Blade, it's still a great album. And You Can't Stop Rock and Roll, still a great album. And then the song Hot Love is still just a really good album. A really good song. That was about it, though. I read that also, good stuff. I was blown away that he had full listing of every gig they had played ever. Yeah, I love when bands do that. Like, bands know every single time they ever... Especially them, because they were playing like 5 shows a night at places, Like 5 40-minute sets. Stuff which is pretty neat. Is there a lizard out there? I think there's a lizard driving the cat nuts. But anyway, that was so that was that. So you didn't miss much of anything. And I'm wondering, they only do 5 of these. I would imagine they'll maybe do another 5 next year or whatever, because it's A&E and they love doing these 5 and 6 episode things like this for 2-3 years. But I'm like, who picked those 5? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with any of them. I'm just wondering, I don't know. Yeah, anyway, so that's that. They never talk about the original guitarist, J.J. Wilburn. I think it's because legally they're not allowed to talk about J.J. Wilburn. That made me laugh. So my wife, if my wife is listening, I apologize for telling this story. I know it's embarrassing. I say to my wife, buy me tuna, but I like them in the pouches because 1 pouch of tuna equals 1 cinnamon raisin bagel sandwich. And so she buys me like the box of like 12 of them. But the one time she had bought me albacore instead of just tuna. There is a difference. I don't like the taste of albacore nearly as much as I like the tuna. I would imagine because the tuna has the bits of dolphin and stuff they sneak in. And our cat, Mary, does not like albacore. She is not a fan of it. But I forgot to tell my wife this. But I said to her, I didn't say go out and get me albacore. I said, get me tuna. So she brought it home, and I didn't realize until today because I made 2 cinnamon raisin bagel tuna sandwiches with a slice of American cheese as the base on it so the tuna doesn't fall through the hole in the middle of the bagel. And I always share the tuna because the cats come running. As soon as I rip that bag open, they know what's going on. And I always throw a little bit on the floor for each cat. And I dropped some down, and Murray took one lick of that, and then she just stared at me for like a minute. And I was like, what? Then I realized, oh, it's albacore. And then she just looked pissed, and she just walked away. And so the other cat ate both little piles, but I mean, that cat eats bugs, so. I call something else a tuna pouch. I call that a stink box. But, you call it whatever you want to call it. And so I messaged my wife at work and I said, do not do that again. This is your last strike. This cat is pissed. And albacore just doesn't taste as good, Anyway, my goal for this week is to write a chapter of Down and Dirty 2 every day. And if I get a chapter done every day, Sunday I'll have the last chapter done. I wrote this morning. I got up. I was up early. I was like, let me throw a couple of words in here because I got a chapter done yesterday, right on schedule. And I wrote and I finished a chapter already today. So now I'm working on another chapter. If I can get it done, I'll be ahead. Which is great, because on Friday night, my wife is picking up her cousin's kids, Sawyer and Easton, who are 8 and 10. And we're going to go to a Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp baseball game with them. It'll be my first game in like 2 years. And but then Saturday they're going to be here for most of the day. And my wife's like, we should go bowling. And I'm like, I can't go bowling. My shoulder hurts. She's like, well, you can come hang out, and it's her mother's birthday today. We're taking her mother for dinner tonight. And then Saturday, she's going to pick up her mom, and we're going to all go bowling. Which I don't want to go bowling, but I got to be a good uncle or whatever I am. So anyway, so we're going to go bowling. So Saturday, and then we're not taking them back till later. So I would imagine Saturday I'm not going to get any writing in. So my thing is, well, then I need to get a chapter ahead, which I'm on the second page of 3 pages of another chapter already. And I've already written 1,500 words or something. Time to get your bowling shoes out of storage. I had bowling shoes. I also had a bowling ball. I had 2 bowling balls. Because we actually were on a league. This is like 2018, 27, something like that. Me and Shelly, because she loves to bowl. She's not great at it, but she loves it. I'm awful. And we joined some league that she knew people in the league. And there was like, 6 teams or 8 teams, whatever it was. And we were on a team with, nobody was good. And there was a guy there on another team who was really nice. And he was lefty. And I was lefty, so he would watch the way I bowled. And would give me tips. And it never improved my game, but it made him feel good. But he gave me, because you'd have to go there and you'd have to go through every freaking bowling ball to find one that my damn giant fingers fit in and that was heavy enough but not too heavy, all that crap. So he gave me a couple. I had used one of his. He's like, try this one, and I used it. And I was like, yeah, this is good. So he ended up giving me 2 of his bowling balls for free. I mean, he had like 100 of them in his car. This was one of these guys that had the glove on and all that stuff. And we bought, but then our handicap was like ridiculous. Like, and we were playing like the best team, and this chick was so annoying. Like, focus, like they didn't talk to each other except to say, great 7-10 split or whatever it was. You know what I mean? And like, hey, don't put soda or food on the, where we're keeping score thing. Like that, those people. And I'm like, fuck, I'm here for fucking shitty hot dogs and for bad soda, But our handicap was like we were getting like 100 and something point, whatever it was. We were getting like ridiculous amount of points to start. And they were always so annoyed at that. We beat them because all we had to do was hit like 4 or 5 pins every time. And they had to throw strikes. Was your team called the Pin Pals? I don't remember what the team was was named. I know we didn't have like at one point a couple of the other teams had gotten the bowling shirts with their team name on it and all that. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not spending any more money because it's already costing us like $10 a week or something. I'm not doing anything like that. I think maybe my bowling ball and shoes are in the attic next to the mothballs and 8mm movie reels. Could be right. Is one of them the lazy, no good roustabout that loved with you for a spell? That lived with you for a spell? No. So, bowling place soda, obviously, yeah, it does taste weird. It tastes like they haven't changed the filters or put in new soda in like 5-10 years. Mr. Frank. So, yeah, we did that for like two years. The problem was then we were doing... It was like during the summer, and we were doing. We couldn't I couldn't be there for we couldn't be there for because we were going to Scares That Care or something. And it was like the last week of the season, and then we have to bowl early or bowl later to make it up. And I'm like, this is stupid. Like, why are we coming here like the night before? Or whatever, you know, like we gotta get on the road tomorrow morning at like 6 a.m. But now I'm here bowling, and plus then I hurt my arm really bad, like after like maybe a few months after that, and I was like, yeah, because I know it's gonna end, and we have another Scares that thing, and we had other stuff going on, and we started doing baseball I think at that point, so I was like, yeah, I'm not missing baseball games to come here with these assholes, because it wasn't like I liked any of them. So that was my bowling career. So she's like, "Oh, we're gonna go bowl." I'm like, "All right, I'll sit there with your mom because your mom's not gonna bowl. I'll sit there and see if it's the same soda from however many years ago. You know, 7, 8 years ago. Probably will be." So that's that. I don't know where we're going tonight. It'd probably be some chain restaurant. It's always a chain restaurant. Hopefully it's a chain restaurant with good bread. That would be nice. Spray my leg again. My leg is getting better. That spray just kills you. But not great. And then Sunday, hopefully I will get to work and finish up this book. And then Down and Dirty 2 will be done. Le Taco Loop. Tom, when you figure out your definite plans for MondoCon, you got to let us know, because depending on how long you stay, we will have some things planned. Cool Ramon shirt. Sorry, Ramon shirt. Dark Delicacies, Burbank, California. Horror bookstore shirt I got when I was in Burbank, California. And so yeah. But you gotta let us know how long you guys are planning on staying, because we got some stuff we'd like to do. Also, great news to everybody. I know Nick was worried. They put in a temporary road for Redneck Beach, so it is actually now open. It actually was open over the weekend. Didn't realize. It is a destination bookstore, exactly. So Redneck Beach is now open, and then of course people are on their posting saying, "Oh, it took long enough," and I'm like, it was closed on Tuesday. And by Saturday, it was reopened. And then other people are like, "Oh, this is too soon. There's gonna be problems." And what happens when another storm comes? I'm like, just shut up. Just enjoy that the damn beach is open. Yeah, bring on the thick is right. I thick with 2 C's. That's how thick it is there. Is it called Redneck Road? It might be now, yes. So anyway. So there you go. That is a lot of thick. You are 100% right. That's one of my new favorite keywords in Pornhub. So there you go. I may have to reconsider. So that's that. That's that in the nutshell, as the young kids say. All right. So here's my problem right now. I don't want to write anymore. I've written like 1,500 words today. I don't want to do any more right now. I wanna lie down and sleep. So I got 2 books from the library yesterday. I left the house and went to Dunkin', of course, and then I went to the library. There's Shelley, and I got the Darius Rucker, Hootie the Blowfish guy. I got his autobiography, and I also got like the History of the Blues Brothers nonfiction book as well. So those are added to the pile. Although I have not started the John Stamos book yet, so I gotta read that one. And I'm also about I think I'm on the 2nd novella in the Josh Mallerman book so far. So, Shelly, I already told them how you messed up the tuna thing. Everybody was very disappointed. Nick said he's probably not going to come to MondoCon now. If you can't get tuna right, he doesn't think that any of your food could possibly be as good as it used to be because you messed that up. I'm just throwing it out there, just letting you know. Frank, did you know 2 days ago, Chris Holmes was his 66th birthday? Do you celebrate? I don't eat tuna, so what do I guess that's right. I started the Max Brooks Bigfoot book last night. How do you like it so far? I like it. I like the book. I read it when it came out. It's a lot like World War Z, the jumping around and the news things and the different, I'm like, just write a freaking book. Next is I started Paul Tremblay's new one. How's that so far, Nick? I like the Bigfoot book. I liked it too. I just thought it just, I don't know. It always seems like he writes trying to be smarter than he is. I'm reading some on my Kindle. I'm reading some. I read a Scandinavian noir book, which was all right. I finished that one and reviewed it, and I'm reading a post-apocalyptic anthology from a couple years ago, which is pretty good, except there's a couple stories I could not finish. Here's what I don't like in a story. In a short story I'm reading, like, it's a post-apocalyptic thing, but don't get cute and funny. Don't get post-apocalyptic and then Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny are hanging out in it as characters. That's dumb to me. That's just stupid, cheesy. And one of the ones I just did not like the writing. Never heard of the author before. Did not like the writing. We'll stay away from that author. Waiting for World War Bigfoot. I think that's his next one Max is writing. So far so good. It's starting to feel like a lesson in environmental preservation hippie shit. Yeah, you're going to get a lot more of that in it. Now does Tom Duffy write short stories? There's an author I've read like in 2 anthologies back to back, like horror anthologies, and I really like his style. And I don't know if you've ever heard of him or you ever read anything by him. Lavie Tidhar, Lavie, and then Tidhar. Afghanistanian or Iraqian, whatever that is. And anyway, his stories are really, really solid stories. So I looked him up. I'm like, you know what? If this guy's got a book on Amazon, I'm going to get it. And just a crap load of short stories out there, I guess. He has a couple of novels, but they're in one's in Italian and one's in French or something. So I'm like, I don't know what's going on here. No, that's no, Mr. Frank. No, that's a different person. But I had finished Wellfall, reviewed that on. I always review on Amazon, Goodreads, and BookBub, and I always leave a review, not just a 4-star, 5-star, 3-star thing like Chuck Buda does. Was that the X-rated version of Die Hard? I believe it was. And Ravi Shankar. No, that's the next autobiography I'm gonna read. But I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna drop this book off, and I got the Darius Rucker one on hold. I'm gonna pick that up, and then I'll trade one for one. And then I ended up, I think, 2 or 3 books yesterday. So, if I were to check out Riley Sager, what would you suggest this? I would suggest you start reading it. I don't know, a lot of Riley Sager stuff is standalone, but then there's a lot of series as well. So probably start with one of the standalones. It's more like, for me, reading that stuff is more like Harlan Coben or James Patterson or Brad Thor or David Baldacci. They're all good, but they're not. There's nothing there that you think about later. They all have good twists. They all have good characters. They're very good books. But there's a formula to them. There's that thriller formula to all of those, which is fine. I enjoy it. That's more of an author that, like, you know, like romance authors, they read like 1,000 books a year, and it's like certain authors they always gravitate towards, you know, and they read like everything this person has out because it's comfortable, and that's what Riley Sager is. It's comfortable. When I read those, I know what's going to happen. I know there's going to be a twist, but I know the beats of this book like every other book. Good books, but formulaic. Yeah, they are the epitome of thrillers that that make a crap load of money. Like Dan Brown and Grady Hendrix. What the hell's that noise? I don't think I've ever read Dan Brown, and I don't think I've ever actually read Grady Hendrix. So I don't know. I'm not an authority on either. So it's like Skinwalker Ranch, forgettable after it ends. Oh, Skinwalker Ranch is not forgettable, buddy. Take that back. Yeah, pretty much. It's good. Skinwalker Ranch, not so good. Again, you'll enjoy it. You will enjoy yourself. Rock the Bells went in an unexpected direction. Is that good or is that bad? Is that a I was going to give you three stars, but now I'm going to give you 2? Formulaic is fun as long as the dollar bills come. Exactly. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just it's more than cookie cutter. Skinwalker Ranch is awful. Tonight I'm going to tie you down and make you watch the latest episode. But I'll probably watch it after this. Oh, just so everybody knows, on Friday, I'll probably be on tomorrow. My therapy got canceled. It got moved to Friday because the therapist has to go into a hospital for something or other. Not for surgery or anything. He's hired by the hospital to talk to crazy people or something there instead of talking to crazy me. So on Friday I have therapy, but at 2 p.m. So I will probably be on Friday about 12:30 and get off about around this time. So just letting you know. Just letting everybody know. My goal is to finish this book here and get it to beta readers, get it to my wife, who's now getting. I'm finishing some stuff so that books are piling up for her to read and click her friggin' red pen. Click, 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 click. Stop clicking the damn pen. There's nothing wrong with that book. Oh, that's right. In the third Johnny Bell's book, you have a character to do something so awful. Yeah, but in the third one, not in the first one or the second one. The first or second one, everybody's friends. There's no violence, nothing. Yeah, I didn't read Grady Hendrix saying this is so stupid over and over, but keep picking up the book every day, like I do with Skinwalker Ranch. Yeah, exactly. Like I have an episode of Skinwalker Ranch taped from last night, and I know I'm gonna watch it. And I know I'm going to be annoyed that I watched it. You know, I know I'm going to watch this thing and be like, why am I watching this? You should have read the second one before we took a scene out. Oh my God, yeah. There was a very, very brutal, violent scene in the second one that just kind of pushed the envelope way over. And, beta readers did not like that. My wife did not. She was like, "Oh, what are you guys doing? This is too far." And she was right. There's no way McEdler makes it through the series. Spoiler alert, McEdler were writing a 12-book series with McEdler after this. That's how great the character is. The guy who bites from a block of cheese at Fiona's house before going out in the backyard. Who does that? All good books should have cheese in it, though. I mean, Nick, of all people, I think you would know that. Yeah, I'm not going to write it anymore. I will write later, though. I promise myself. 91 degrees here, mostly sunny. I'm sure that means it's over 100. Rock the McEdlers. Yep, that's the next series. For those who were interested, Neil and Sandra, our neighbors across the street, they are home now. They arrived home safely today. They've been gone for at least a week, maybe 2 weeks. I have not seen them, but they pulled up today and took a bunch of bags out of their trunk and went and retrieved their mailbox, which was full. A block of cheese and a beer, my kind of living. There you go, Mr. Frank. What kind of monster bites from the block? Be a civilized person and cut that. The food mentions dropped way off as the story went on. Hey, that's not my fault. That was Tom. Tom stopped mentioning food. You know, I mention a lot of food. They were too busy doing awful things. My wife we go to this restaurant on top of a building. The fancy place. And we always get it's like the charcuterie board thing, the appetizer. And they have this really soft cheese. I don't know the name of it. Shelly's still on. Nick, she'll tell you what kind of cheese it is. Like a block of this delicious cheese, and then slices of warm bread and strawberry jam. Okay? And we love it. Just absolutely love it. So last week my wife bought that cheese, a block of that cheese, and it's not exactly what they use, but it's in the same family, I think. The name was the same. And we got our loaves of bread from the bread delivery thing she does every month. And she bought a thing of strawberry jam. And man, we went to town on that night. We ate like a whole loaf of bread, a lot of the cheese. I think we still have some cheese left, as a matter of fact. And it was just friggin' delicious. Just delicious. I've never seen strippers eat so much fast food. Should have named the club Thick and Plenty. If you had read Aaron Lewis's stripper book, you would know that strippers eat a ton of fast food. That's pretty much their diet is cocaine and McDoubles. Delete the Bolognese cheese. Nick, you know what that is? Delicious is what it is. some type of triple cream something. Yeah, it's very, very creamy and smooth. Yeah, we have a bread delivery guy. So every month or thereabouts, my wife orders like six different loaves or different things of bread. Last night we had cookies from them. 6 giant cookies. That's my New Jersey. That's my New Jersey pronunciation. Nick says I do not, but I'm willing to. I figured you knew all cheeses. I thought you. Look at Shelley. This is off the top of her head. She didn't copy this. Delice de Bourgeois is a French cow's milk cheese from the Burgundy region of France. It's first created in 1975 by Jean Leger at Fromager Leger. It's a triple cream cheese. The high fat content results from the extra cream that is added during the cheese making process. Here's what I know. I'm not a big fan of French people, but I do love their triple cream cheese. It's freaking delicious. It is. It's delightful. Last night we made cookies from there. 6 giant cookies, which are good. But they have like croissants, and they have chocolate stuffed croissants, and all different kinds of baguettes, and all different kinds of breads, which is really good. The only thing I didn't like a lot was they had what was the thing that I ate, and I ate all of them and I shouldn't have. I don't even remember. I made cheesesteaks on them, and it was not they didn't taste right. Everything else tasted really good though. So far, the problem is we have probably like 15 or 20 different bread things packed into the 3 freezers. Nick should bring some casual Marzu cheese to Monaco. Casu Dag Nabbit. Delicious. Casu Dag Nabbit. Delicious. Or is it pronounced Casu Dag Nabi? Could be that. Anyway, there you go. Tonight we're going to dinner somewhere. Forget where. Chain restaurant. Hopefully they'll have some bread. Because now I want bread. You know what, Frank? You learned something new every day. You learned about a French cream tea. Carrabba's. We're going to Carrabba's tonight. I'm sure I'll find something there that I enjoy. I think the last time I went to Carrabba's was with you and your mother and your sister. So there you go. Olive Garden. Last time I went to Olive Garden was with Amanda Ward. We went for lunch when we did our writing thing. I never order any of their Italian food. I do like their soup, salad, and breadsticks though. We do that for lunch. Knowing Tom, I'll have 38 flavors of cheese curds. Sometimes, at some point, Nick, you got to say no. 36 different kinds of cheese curds, or you ain't getting one. Stop ordering. Carrabba's used to be good. They all used to be good. Most different places are closing now. So, like all the Red Lobsters, I think there's one Red Lobster left over here in Jacksonville. What else is just closing? I don't know. A bunch of stuff everything keeps closing. Because all those chains are just, they don't know how to make money anymore. They could make money if they just were worried about, hey, let's stay alive and just make money. But they're like, no, we gotta pay all of the board members. We got blah blah blah. Macaroni Grill, man, I haven't had Macaroni Grill in about 1,000 years. Like like Chili's over here now is awful. The service is awful. Food's not great. Same with Applebee's, or as my wife calls it, Crapplebee's. Like we went to Last time we went to Applebee's was only because they had like the all-you-can-eat appetizers or something. We did that, and it wasn't like it was good or anything. Like we should have just saved our money and went to Golden Corral or something and just eaten a ton of food there. Go to the Chinese buffet. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I'm just glad that Redneck Beach is reopened. So there you go. Maybe someday we'll go. I think Macaroni Grill is out of business, so that would explain it. That's probably why I haven't been there in a while. There's so many places that are like that are out of business. You know, because they're because they're garbage. And then they just replace it with some other new concept that will get too big for their britches. Then that will eventually close. You know, it'll be like some hip place. Ooh, let's all go to McEdler's Bar and Grill. You know, and then all of a sudden there's like 500 of them all across the land. Then all of a sudden people are like, "Yeah, I used to go to that." We don't go to that anymore. Now we go to McDuffie's. That's a much better bar and grill. We do like watching like the brands that built America and all those. We watched those. We watched an episode of the one with with those two companies. Oh, Hertz and Avis. And it's always this. No matter what the business is, it could be Coke versus Pepsi. It could be Kellogg's versus Post. It could be any of those. Every single one of those is somebody came up with an idea and some other jerk came in and stole the idea, and now there's a rivalry. Every one of them. Do you guys have anything besides White Claw? Nope. Exactly. That's when McElder's went wrong. Yeah. Can my kids get... I just need glasses of water. Sorry, sir. We only serve White Claw. We'll get them the... what flavor do the kids like to drink, though? We'll get them a White Claw. The brands that built Skinwalker Ranch. Yep. Exactly. They have the Icons that built America or something. That's a new one. The first episode is Evel Knievel. And I'm like... I don't want to watch about Evel Knievel. I'm done with Evel Knievel. I think the next one is Arnold Schwarzenegger. I think, though. They're really reaching with those shows now. Yeah. Oh, you know, they're making money. And plus they're reusing footage from the previous ones. Like the Food That Built America, all those, they touch on other ones, and then they just keep using the same scenes from different other ones. We're also watching the Walt Disney one, Walt Disney Built America, or whatever it is. Ooh, back scratcher time. Thank you, Nick. I appreciate it. You saw that I was struggling. So yeah, we watched the Disney one as well. I mean, I like those shows. We always end up the end of the night with the Border Patrol shows. Or the airport security shows. Like we watch an episode of that at 10:30, 11 o'clock every night before I go to bed. It's my thing now. I like it. And we're always just like, that lady 100% knew there was going to be 340 Xanax pills in her bag. Who were you kidding? Oh, she definitely knew there was a warrant out for her arrest. She's lying. The Fonz, Mr. Frank. Evel Knievel versus Fonzie, Milwaukee's own. And we already shot a scene with two guys in seersucker suits arguing over the direction of a company. Use that again. Pretty much, yeah. It's like, oh, we've already shot the 1915 scenes of the way food was delivered. So let's just keep using this scene in every single one of these, even if it's about Evel Knievel. Arthur Fonzarelli. Yep, so it's always going to be the same shot over and over. Somebody posted a thing today, which I thought was funny. They posted, it's the meme, it says, "The Curse of Nosferatu." Everybody involved in that movie is now dead. Although it's funny because I think it's the 100-year anniversary of the movie coming out. So if you worked on that movie, you would be over 100 years old now. And you probably would have to be at least 20, right? So you'd have to be at least 120 years old now. Although that was humorous. Humor and stuff. Alright, I'm going to go watch Skinwalker Ranch. I'm going to be very disappointed. I'm going to be disappointed in myself. It's kind of like here's a couple of analogies. I can't believe either are making that movie again. Are they all undead? They could all be undead. Here's my analogy over watching Skinwalker Ranch. Say you're a heroin addict. You like the H, you like the horse, you like the gear. And you need to stay away from it. But yet, every Tuesday night at 9 p.m., you have a little taste. Then you hate yourself. You're an alcoholic. You don't drink, except every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you have a shot. And then you hate yourself. You're a dude addicted to porn. Every Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you go to Pornhub and you punch in thick with 2 C's. And then afterwards, you hate yourself. That's my analogy. There's a Brat Pack doc on Hulu I gotta check out. I saw Bratz. I'll wait for your review. Don't you mean you gotta write more, do the dishes, fold the laundry, and pick up the kids from the dry cleaners before your wife gets home? Yeah, there's all those things as well. Actually, I did laundry yesterday. So laundry's good. I gotta do the dishes, but there's not a ton of dishes in there. I actually took out the garbage yesterday. I'm ahead of the curve for once. I have been seriously slacking, but I've also been writing more and I've been working. And I'm also freaking out because I'm not making money right now that I should be making or could be making. So, gotta keep writing. I heard the Bratz thing was not that good. It was all basically just Andrew McCarthy talking to his buddies. And then I think Molly Ringwald and who else? One of the other people weren't even in it. They declined to be interviewed. Vacuum the cats. Yeah. Cats are actually being quiet, which is nice. The one cat's still pissed about that albacore thing. I mean, I don't blame her. I'll be honest with you. I don't blame her. Judd Nelson. Thank you, Nick. Thank you. Yeah, Judd Nelson. I was going to say Judge Reinhold. That's that other guy. Season the flat top. We haven't used the hibachi in a long time. The last time we used the hibachi, it might have been 2 years ago at MondoCon. So it's just sitting out there and getting weathered. It's got a cover on it, but that cover's probably stuck to it by now. We got to do that one of these days. But it won't be during MondoCon because it'll still be 112 degrees out. All right, everybody. Thank you for hanging out. A reminder to resubscribe or subscribe, as the case may dictate. And also, go over to the YouTube and follow me. I will follow you back there as well. Everybody have a great, great time. I will see you tomorrow.